right. Good evening, good people. Welcome to Conversations with Bless in the City. Glad to see you guys. It was a struggle getting here today, but I'm here, even though Erica Bermudez didn't want to be here. But anyway, that's besides the point. I just want to welcome you guys and thank you for joining us today. We have a full panel today, and I'm so happy that we all can be here together again. And I want to start off by introducing good brother Rob. Say hello to the good people.
Hello, good people. Hello, good people.
And before we continue, I almost forgot. Hey, excuse me, Erica.
Yes.
I'm going to need you to actually do the disclaimer.
Peace and love, everybody. I think that I'm going to ask Mama Blue to do the disclaimer because she's here and she's usually the one who does the disclaimer. So I think it's only right that I defer this disclaimer to her today. Welcome back, Mama Blue.
Well, Mama Blue,
Take
who
the
always
mic.
know what to do. Can you read the disclaimer, please?
Today is my lucky day. Good evening, everyone. The views and opinions expressed by the panel are simply that their own personal views. They are not the views or opinions of Carney Point employees or any of Carney Point studio employees. And thank you.
And that's right. And of course, Mama Blue, who always knows to do, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And I want to then introduce. I feel like she's staring at me. Is she? Anyway, I want to introduce. Okay, but you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize, Ms. Bermudez. It is Women's History Month, and I promised myself that I was going to be, polite. No, don't. Right. Cause yeah. Okay.
You didn't promise nothing.
Oh.
You're just gonna do it.
Oh, all right. Well, hi, Erica, Bermudez, B.L.E.S.C in the City. We want to thank you for being a part of B.L.E.S.C in the City since it is Women's Month and
History Month. History.
Yeah, and all that jazz. History Month,
Which is ironic because it's Women's His Story Month.
right? So see, the man is still there. Anyway, I just want to thank you for representing for this month and doing the outstanding job that you do occasionally all the time.
Now, did that hurt you?
I think it did hurt him. The grimaces on his face. But peace and love, kings and queens. Peace and love and welcome back.
Excuse me,
This
sorry.
is our last episode for Women's History Month. So, yes.
All right, I
Yes.
got that out the way, people, and I just want to say hello, good people. Kylie Moore the Great, the Big Back Invasion, and thank you guys for joining us this week. And definitely shout out to all my powerful women, and we're going to get into a little something a little bit later. But we're going to start off with some announcements for Erica Bermudez.
Hitting the block.
It's the
Yeah,
announcement.
Hitting the
this
block.
is hitting the block.
Oh,
Hit the
okay. We're
block.
going to stop with starting with hitting the block.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little taken back by it. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so first off, I would like to give a shout out to our Councilman Frank Gilmore because he is having the 3rd annual Extraordinary Woman of the Year Gala at the Factory. Last year, Mama Blue was one of the recipients of the award. So I just want to shout him out because this is his 3rd time doing this, and it will be next Friday, March 31st at the Factory. Also, PS15 is doing their first Women's Empowerment Summit this Friday, actually. And once again, Mama Blue is one of the award recipients from PS15. Was that a surprise? My bad. Did I let the cat out the bag? It was all over social media, so I figured you knew. My bad. So that will be tomorrow from 6 to 8 at PS15. So I want to congratulate Mama Blue for that. Also, Pam Johnson of the Anti-Violence Coalition. She's having an event tonight. It's going on right now at Brightside. So obviously I want you guys to watch this, but once you finish watching this, go on down to Brightside and support the Anti-Violence Coalition. Or on your way down there, you know, you could be listening as you driving down there, because don't watch it while you're driving. And last but not least, for the Hitting the Block, tomorrow we are still supporting Officer Smith, and we will be going to the commissioners meeting at 565 Pavonia Avenue at 4:30. Listen, our work is never done. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep standing and supporting Officer Smith until change happens, okay? We're trying to get that man back out into the community, doing the job and the work that needs to be done in the community with our students. And that's it. That's all I have.
Oh, great job, Ms. Bermudez.
Take a sip in case I'm dry.
Yeah, because All right. So with that, I definitely want to congratulate you, Mama. I'm glad that you were able to receive your flowers. One of the reasons why we definitely wanted you to come on the show is that we can acknowledge you, and your presence is always with us, even when you're not here. And I would definitely, I know that later we're going to get in a portion to mention, you know, powerful, strong women who have impacted our lives personally. And I definitely would say that I can say with, you know, no hesitation that you're definitely one and near to my heart. And us at the B.L.E.S.C organization, we love you, we cherish you, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And you
very
definitely
much.
our woman of the decade
Thank you.
in my eyes, you know, and I appreciate you. You know.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for the all moment. It was like, I'm just
Yeah.
let him finish before I
I heard the
jump in. I was
violin
like, you
and
can hear
everything in my head.
That's how
Right?
you treat the matriarch, though. So
Yes.
that's the way it's supposed to be done.
I'm glad
Thank you.
you're
I
here.
greatly appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
I know you do. And so we're gonna actually move on with you know, our Hitting the Block segment. We're gonna continue with that. And we came across an interesting article, Erica. And I want you to expound on the article. We're gonna discuss the budget. Murphy has put out a new budget that's gonna severely affect the school system in Hudson County. Correct?
Well, not just Hudson County. These budget cuts are affecting schools statewide.
Right.
Jersey City Public Schools being one of the schools that have more of a significant cut, but so does schools in Monmouth and Ocean counties.
Okay.
From what I have read in a couple of different newspaper articles and articles online, there were cuts last year.
Right.
So you're talking about anywhere from 8% to 25% cuts from last year, and now those cuts have increased from 25 to 30%, right?
Right.
And my concern is that the budget cuts are affecting schools that are already failing. Like the schools that are having the largest cuts are schools that are already failing schools. Like Asbury Park, schools in Monmouth and Ocean County, so on and so forth, including Jersey City Public School System. He also introduced a budget that is supposed to counter these cuts. So he has proposed a budget for the state to make certain cuts, and then he has some type of funding program that is going to kind of offset those particular cuts to the schools. However, not all of the schools are going to be impacted by that offset.
Right.
Okay, so that's where it's a lot of
There is no defining, like, and I'm not saying we're assuming, but we don't know what the offset is actually going to be allocated to. I know the budget cuts. I didn't know about what they were actually saying, what was going to happen with the offset. I don't know if that's 100% declared.
Right.
I think my biggest issue is when we hear budget cuts, we get a little bit upset, and definitely because, historically, especially if you're in a marginalized community, you're going to be negatively impacted by those cuts. Mama, you can attest to this because you've seen this and you've worked in this sector for a very, very long time. And these are the things that we have to pay attention to, but I don't like to get too scared into them. Like sometimes we do have to work out and see what the process is. I will give, in the same time that we'll be talking about the budget cuts, I want to say that Get Insured was a big initiative pushed by this governor, and it made a lot of sense because it almost brings in, like that kind of universal health care, moving us towards a real first world country, because in this country, people don't have that. They're not entitled to it, and anytime you talk about it, they call you Marxist or socialist. So. Like there's good things that are going on there, and I don't know whether or not these good things that have success metrics are negatively impacting some things that don't have success metrics. Taking things away from failing schools does sound bad, but we forget there's failure there too, and there needs to be all around accountability.
And I understand as an educator, Erica, you're definitely concerned because you see what you guys experience, on a day-to-day basis, and you also understand and you feel like there's certain needs that's lacking, right? And that's one of your hugest concern as an educator, correct?
Well, not just as an educator, but also as a homeowner, as a taxpayer. My tax dollars are allocated, right? There's a portion of my tax dollars that are allocated to education. Right. And then on the flip side of that, as an educator, I see the disparities in the school system as it pertains to the curriculum, right? As it pertains to extracurricular activities. So my thing is, when I looked at this, and I'm not well versed in budgets and how funds are allocated and things like that. I see an article, I get enraged, right? So I haven't really
the majority of us.
Right. I haven't really been able to really dissect it and really get a full understanding of it. So when you see budget cuts and when you see the amount of money that's being cut to over 407 districts in the state, it's like, what the hell is going on? Hold up, let me finish my thought. These are our future. These are our future doctors, our future lawyers. And as an educator, the problems I see within the education system is the curriculum, right? And I feel like there should be more funding going to changing the curriculum. And I don't mean just, like right now, Jersey City Public Schools use Go Math, for example. I don't mean just changing the textbooks. I mean completely changing programming, bringing back home economics in elementary and middle schools.
Which is costly.
Which is
That's why they
costly.
took it out. Yeah.
But this is the thing. This is the stuff that's going to get our children to go on to higher education, okay? Bring back automotive, bring back shop, bring back a better music program. Because what I'm seeing, like, for example, I'm teaching the kids today fractions, right? And they're not getting it. They're not getting it. As soon as I started to talk about notes and how an eighth of a note, instantly started to get it. So if we do this cross curriculum where kids understand
Wait,
music,
I'm lost about the math thing. I was
because music is really math. Music
Yes,
is
yes.
math. So what I'm saying is they weren't getting it when I was saying to them how to break down, how fractions are broken down. They weren't getting it.
And what you're saying is you leverage music in order to break that.
Yes.
So you reached out to them where they understand.
Where they
Right.
understood it.
But that's what's supposed to happen.
But that's not what they do.
Because what I'm saying is your skill set. I think retraining teachers should be a necessary thing.
And
I'm with you on curriculum.
And I was going to say that, Mama.
Yes.
That's another thing, teacher training. Where's the funding for that?
Yeah, I get behind
You pick
that.
up what I'm putting down, right?
There is
Yeah.
so much to this, to these budgets.
Right.
And just like they said, Jersey City will lose 51 million. Then you have the new legislation that's pending that Murphy's backing and going to sign, where Jersey City will receive 31 million back
Yep.
of that 51 million that they're
But there's still a $20 million
supposedly-
deficit there.
Yeah, 20 million. I take $20 million deficit all day long versus 51.
Right.
And outside
However-
of the range we get here is different too.
Right.
However, there's some factors that need to be considered, and you need to look at this all across the state. And even, I'm going to leave the country out of it, and I'm going to say the state. When you have all of these municipalities, and I'm going to pick on Jersey City, where you do tax abatements are a good, bad,
Right.
you got to balance it.
Right.
Because tax abatements work when it brings jobs and employment into the city.
Well, to
but
the
it
people
it's-
of the city.
but wait,
Right.
I'm not finished. But when you're bringing these jobs in and it's not benefiting the people that are here, why are we paying and giving up extra money?
Right.
And in saying so, and I'm not picking on any administration because I can go all the way back to the Jerry McCann administration as far as tax abatements.
Right.
Okay, that's how long they've been out there. The county does not receive funding when there's a tax abatement.
Right.
The school district does not receive funding when there's a tax abatement.
that's a problem.
So when you look at all of these tax abatements all throughout the years, everybody's been at a loss, including the state.
Well, all throughout the
state-
years, but the volume has never been as serious as it has in this
Now.
current
But-
administration.
but-
I know
but-
you're saying no.
No, wait a
but,
minute,
But
let me
it's
finish.
never been this deep.
Well, let me finish what
Yep.
I'm saying,
Go
because
ahead.
you need to understand the impact of a loss years ago that impacts even now.
Right.
Okay,
Because the
so-
money's not being able to receive.
Right. So if the
collected.
money wasn't there back then, and it's just been an accumulation, and things have continued to skyrocket.
Debt, in other
your
words, you're
loss
talking
Well, the
about
lack of
that.
becomes
compound interest.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your loss becomes even greater.
Right.
So I say that to say, look at all of these tax abatements. The residents are not the ones that are getting the jobs. They're not putting the money back
Into the community.
Right.
the community.
They're also
into
not
it.
benefiting from the tax abatements.
And they don't,
They don't
of
get tax
course, they
abatements.
don't get benefits from that,
Right.
you know. So you have to look at that, and then you have to look at cost. And I'm not trying to be funny. I know education is important. I have been an educator. I have family members who are educators. And I look at the salaries, and I'm saying, gee whiz. But then on the other hand, you need every bit of that salary and more just to try to live, because everything is so damn expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't even.
You know,
Absolutely.
so it's six in one hand, a half dozen in the other. You know, but
But
some,
what
would,
are-
some would say,
Yeah.
when it comes to our failing educational system, right?
Because it is.
Right. It need to be revamped. And the money.
It need to be overhauled and
Right.
thrown away.
Yeah, dismantled.
I'ma
Because
say this.
in certain senses, Mama, some would say that it actually is serving the purpose that it's been created for.
nothing.
To
Make money.
only produce, a great way to hide funds
Yeah.
because they misused, and also to
Monetization.
just to create the bus drivers, the sweepers,
Which is
and-
why they
and-
took
and
certain
not-
programs
The
out of
convicts.
school.
Right.
The
Exactly.
convicts. I mean,
Because
let's call it
it
what it is.
truly is a school to a prison pipeline. That some may believe that.
And
And
I'm honestly,
the
I
corruption
can
is
say
big.
that.
Right.
I honestly can say, yeah, I believe that.
So
I've
I'm
seen that. Yes.
I'm so much
It's self-evident.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
consistent in the communities that we live in.
Absolutely.
Right. So
By
I
design.
say this.
By
when
design.
when we say overhaul, right, and they're taking away funds away from our community in the school systems, what do you think is the first step moving forward in pushing our community to change the curriculum in those schools? Why is it, or do you, two-part, do you feel, because some of the charter schools are a lot more successful.
Ooh.
They are a lot
Some.
more
So
successful
what,
than
what
overall
we can
Some.
majority.
What can we,
Overall
what
majority.
can we do?
They be lying about that data, child.
That's what it is, and I want you to.
They
I
be
want you to
lying
comment
about
on
that data,
so
child.
Let's start with your view, Mama, first, and then we're gonna go to Miss Bermudez. Mama, what do you think about that?
You know, if it were me, and you say overhaul
Yes.
the educational system,
Yes.
overhaul my eyeball, I'd blow it up,
Okay.
okay? And I would start again. And see, I'm old school.
Right.
I'd go back to the Sally Dick and Jane books,
Mm-hmm.
phonics. You want an educational system? You want to teach children? Then teach them really. And when you've taught children phonics, they can read any damn thing.
Okay.
They can read anything.
So that would be your
And
foundation.
My foundation would be starting with phonics with the reading. My foundation for my math would be my music.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So if I've got those good old fashioned books, and by the way, I found them. Okay? Took me a minute. Okay? You start with the reading. And you teach, and you have to teach kids how to be confident in what they're learning, because you have to be confident when you teach it. If you don't know it and you can't pronounce
Right.
the words, how can you teach somebody else?
Right.
A lot of these teachers, honestly, and I'm telling you the God's honest truth, I wouldn't have them. They're not worth a plug nickel.
Please pick me.
Okay?
Right.
Not at all.
My before we move on, I then say to you, do you believe that our charter schools are being a lot more successful?
I'm going
What's
to
your
say
opinion on
this. Yes and no. And I'm going to
Okay.
tell you why I say yes. Because if you have and now understand something, each charter school is their own school district. Okay? That's the first thing. So if you have a strong leader, you can get somewhere and make a difference. Now, how successful? It also depends on the parents. Because if the parents aren't working in partnership, you're only going to go but so far. I don't give a damn where you go.
Good
to
point,
school.
and I'm glad you closed with that. We're gonna go to you, Ms. Bermudez, and then we're gonna finish with you, Ra.
Okay.
If
so-
you can start your own school.
Oh, no.
from the ground up.
Listen,
I've
let me
already
tell you
started.
something. First of all, the biggest problem with us is that we don't teach our own.
Okay.
That is the biggest problem with us. Every other community does it. The
Right.
Spanish have their own school, the Jews have their own school, Africans have their own school. Black folk, we rely on public school education.
HBCU high, maybe?
That, but
HBCU
but the
high school?
CU,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
but just
well,
some,
you
so
know what I mean.
Dr. Umar in Atlanta has created a school, and when he was asked what is the criteria, what is the requirement to come to the school, right, to be admitted into the school, he said be black, be born black. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so I just say that to say we need to start teaching our own, because if we teach our own, then they will actually get taught. Now, to what Mama said when she said something about the teachers, okay, not every teacher might be a good teacher or the best teacher, but they're not the only problem. The
It's a
curriculum
combination.
is the biggest problem. Okay? I am witnessing students who can't read, right? And the reason why they can't read is because now the Department of Education mandates programs on the computer. There is literally curriculum that they have to do on the computer. Different programs, there's Freckle, there's Think Central, all of this different stuff that is, they have to do it on the computer, right? Hold up.
No, I just
And
had a
they're
question.
not reading anything because all they do is click the little microphone and it reads for them.
Okay.
So the children don't have to read.
So you're saying they're not being challenged to read?
They're not being challenged to read. I remember when I was growing up, I was in school and we had to read a text, right? The teacher would start reading and call on, okay, Mikey, you pick up. Erica, you pick up. You pick up. And then we would have to pick up where we left off. And even if we were a struggling reader, like we didn't read, where the teacher would correct us, the teacher would help us
Right.
with our phonics, so on and,
And
so
that's
forth.
how you build your confidence.
Listen, 5th grade, 6th grade, can't read. When I told them, I was like, first of all, close the Chromebook, take a piece of paper out. You're going to write this down. They were like, we got to write? We got to read?
Yes.
We don't do that.
That's
The
right.
minute they walk into the classroom, okay, the way the class is structured, from 8:30 to 8:45 is breakfast, right? They walk in, breakfast in hand. They go straight to the Chromebook cart and grab their Chromebook. I'm like, what are y'all doing? This is what we do. No, not with me. Put that away. We're going to read and write. You going to do what? Because although I am a teacher's aide, I have a subcert. So a lot of times they'll place me into classroom if there's a teacher's absent and they don't have a substitute coverage. So I get placed in classroom. And when I'm there, them kids is learning. I'm going to tell you that right now.
So basically, you and Mama agree on the fundamentals that need to be reinstalled.
Not reinstalled. Just
I want you.
done
I want
over,
you. I
overhaul.
want your opinion on charter schools. Quickly.
I think that charter school is a facade. And I say that because it's designed to look like it's better than public school. And it's taking money away from the public school system, taking funding away from the public school system. However, to Mama's point, every charter school is its own district, right? They have charter schools that may have a sister school, they may have a couple of schools, but at the end of the day, it's their own district. Certain charter schools are really good.
Shout out to Beloved. I heard they're doing great things down there. Go ahead.
Beloved, okay.
Yeah.
Certain
what I said.
charter schools are really good. Others not so much. But there's an issue because the data is not accurate. And it's not just with charter schools, it's with public schools as well.
Right.
Okay, this whole No Child Left Behind thing, when I had requested for my son to be held back because of the pandemic, I didn't think that he learned what he needed to learn in the 3rd grade, and I requested him be held back because it was just too much for him, and he had failed several subjects. They said, no, we don't hold them back. Wait, what? But he's not ready to move forward. Judging by these testing, because they have what's called MAP testing, right?
Right.
They give in the beginning of the year to see where you are, in the middle of the year to see how far you've come, and in the end of the year to see if you're ready for the next grade. The MAP testing does what it's supposed to do. School system isn't doing what it's supposed to do, because even if the students have failed, beginning, middle, and end, they're still pushing them forward.
Wow. I didn't
And
know
that's
that was
charter
going on.
and public school.
That's crazy. Now, Brother Ra, you've been patiently waiting. You know, I just want to hear your outlook, especially when it comes to the charter school.
I'm like Miss Bermudez. I'm biased. So
There's nothing wrong with being. I want to hear your
I'm
side.
biased.
I mean, that's why I got the two, in the middle.
Yeah. So
the chocolate is in the middle. But go ahead.
So when it comes to the charter schools, so all right, the thing is, charter schools are scalable. That means that there's no red tape, there's none of the other stuff. I personally own an educational institution as well. So, and ours is about coding and stuff like that, but we apply a lot of different things. Like we have memory exercises. I practice in my own household, dual coding and a bunch of other things. There's ways that kids consume information that we're just not doing in traditional schools in general. Now, if anyone that's going to be able to adopt that is going to be a school within and of itself in its own district, a charter, because they can move a lot faster. They can make the changes a lot simpler without having to go through a board and who's elected on the board and and all the other stuff. Another thing is we have to talk about the ills that has been going on with public schools in general. In my day, they were feeding kids Ritalin, which was a sister of cocaine. And we see what happened with that.
That's why they was getting high.
Yeah, but that also created a generation of dip heads and a bunch of other things because
'cause heroin
those kids had to wean off of a drug that they were told they were too old for, and then they went back out to the street stuff. So it was like, all right, well, no kid left behind. Well, I also grew up in zero tolerance, where it didn't matter what you do, you can be suspended or expelled or put out, ostracized, and demonized as the bad kid because they were trying to funnel them through the prison system. So now the school system is like, oh, hey, what about us? Charter schools, you guys have forgotten all about us. You guys were so messed up, so corrupt, did so many different things, failed at every level for so long. People look for any other out, and they're finding positive ones in different avenues. Maybe they're not all the best. I can only speak to the ones that, I'm affiliated with. So, Beloved, they're a little bit different. I see their curriculum. I speak to my daughter's history teacher who talks about reparations, and he's extremely impressed to find out that I had a show that was called 28 Days of Blackness because she speaks to those things. And he speaks to the children about those. My daughter was in 5th grade.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now, these are concepts that I didn't get in my public school education, even though I went to there's no such thing as a black school, by the way, because you don't control your own curriculum. But I went to an all-black school, and we didn't learn those things. So I'm not taking anything away from public schools. I'm just saying that the way that we teach in public schools is dated. It's very hard to make those changes because of all the red tape with the curriculum and all the people who have a say. There's too many stakeholders and not enough people who actually get the job done. And then they turn on the teachers who do say, you know what, I'm going to take this gamble and go out there and teach this the way that it should be taught, so that these kids can receive it in a way that it'll be something meaningful and they can do for the rest of their lives.
So
and that doesn't happen.
I have a
and
question.
that's great, because I mean, I feel like the best era where we were learning the foundation, because we had teachers who actually loved what they do, and they went above and beyond to provide that, to make sure they had a connection with the children in their class. What was your next question?
I have a question to Rashid. You said that you went to a all black school, but before that, you
We went to the
prefaced
same
it.
school.
Wait, that's not an all black school. You prefaced it by saying there's no such thing as an all black school. So
He
you
said that because of the curriculum.
can I talk to him?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm the chocolate in the middle, so that's what I do. But,
But you didn't go to an all black school because the people in leadership are not all black. So when I'm saying that we need to create a school for our own, I mean,
Oh, I didn't. I concede to your point. That I mentioned that not, like one time.
no. But I'm
in
just
no
saying we didn't go to.
disagreement.
We both went to Jersey
Yeah.
City Public Schools, and
Yeah.
it's not all black school.
I don't believe that
the students
there's
who
any,
went
yeah.
there was majority black.
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm just saying this. We need that. Is what I'm saying.
Don't
And I'm not
disagree.
saying that you didn't say that. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying, I didn't bring it up because I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
that's-
you have to understand something. We have been so deprogrammed that when you had
deprogrammed
Or
programmed?
programmed. I think we've been
I
programmed.
think deprogrammed. And
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why.
All right.
Because you had black schools and you had black teachers teaching in those black schools. That was the only school you could go to. Okay? And look at the success. Whose shoulders do we stand on? When we look at our forefathers, they were in black schools. They weren't in schools where the population was all over the place. They were in black schools
You
taught
know,
by
now,
black.
being a-
She's right. We
black
should have.
teachers.
The worst
Okay?
thing we did was integrate. That's the
Right.
worst thing that we did
So-
was
so-
Wait a
want
minute.
to be integrated
So
with.
As the
the
conversation
thing
gets
is, okay, we got reprogrammed, deprogrammed, and everything else to think, oh well, we need to come together and all of that. And
I shouldn't have backed King.
And I'm not saying no. Wait a minute. I'm not saying that should not have happened, but it is the way that it happened. So now everybody, we want to go here and we want
Urban
to go there
sprawl.
and go all over.
Urban sprawl,
And we've
black
lost-
flight. As
we've-
soon as we were able to go sit up underneath them, we did.
Absolutely.
So my question to you is, we're here in a current state where we can all agree that our public school systems are failing. And dumping a whole bunch of money into
Have
the
failed.
schools, right, have failed.
They've been failing since
right.
the 80s.
Yes, and
Before
dumping a
that.
whole bunch of money is not the answer.
It's not.
Right? It's not. Because I'm telling you it's not. So what do we do collectively as a community and as a staff, for those who are employed there, to start making waves to make these changes? Now, question to you.
Collins, we're not gonna make no waves, because that damn check looks good. Get the hell out of
Well,
here.
my
with
thing, my thing is, right, I almost feel as though when it comes to a public school system, we have lost those teachers who do it because it's something that they love,
Absolutely.
opposed to the reward that they receive after the 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
What reward? Teachers don't get paid money.
Well,
I don't get
clearly-
paid
well,
shit.
Well, let me tell you
Pennies.
something. I mean, in
Teachers
comparison,
don't make no
Now-
money.
Yeah,
Let me
I
just
think
say
for
that.
as hard as that job is, they should be on par with doctors and other people,
yes.
other professions. Like,
Absolutely. We
and
are
then-
essential.
I
we are
do-
essential
I do-
employees.
I
But
do
you're
agree,
essential,
but what I'm
but you're
saying
not
is,
giving essential
but,
stuff.
right? But what
Because-
Oh no, I'm not
but what
arguing that.
hold
either,
on, hold on. But this is
You're
my
not
point.
essential?
This is my point.
We are essential.
I
No.
feel as though that you guys can be and should be essential, but not every teacher is doing the maximum
Thank you.
effort and deserve the
That's
same.
exactly
Not
right.
every
It's
police
not.
officer is cracking heads and kicking
Not
ass.
every doctor.
But let me hold,
Not every lawyer.
But no.
That's
You
But
guys-
they getting that money.
But guess what? But you guys
That's right.
are the cultivators of young minds in the future. There's a different level of responsibility when it comes to those who say, I'm
Yes.
taking on the job. No, I'm taking on the life of a teacher.
Can I say
Yes.
something?
I'm just
All
saying.
right, all right.
I'm
So,
not saying it's not difficult. I'm just saying
Kali,
it's
let
different.
me just say this, right? If I'm the top surgeon at a hospital, am I not given the equipment that I need to perform said surgeries? The surgeon doesn't go out and buy the equipment.
And who
the
determines
hospital,
the top
the
surgeon?
hospital purchased the equipment for the surgeon, purchased the equipment for the X-ray technician or whatever the case may be. So if you have these, to that, even lawyers, right? Whatever the lawyer need, the firm that the lawyer works for purchases the stuff, whether it's an investigator that they need or whatever the case may be. The problem is, it's like y'all gonna stop doing this and some point at the teachers.
I'm gonna
the
continue to do
teachers
that.
were. Let me
Because-
finish.
Because
the
I
teachers,
grew up in
the
an era.
problem.
I grew
Not-
up in
They're
an era
only
where
one part
teachers
of the
didn't.
problem.
No, they're one part of the
the
problem. but
teachers
I
need
grew
the
up-
equipment
listen,
in order
ho,
to
ho,
do
ho,
the
ho, ho.
job.
I grew up. No,
Not
the
all teachers are good, but the ones who are good need the equipment.
The
I
great,
can-
the
I can
great,
agree.
the great teachers were innovators, right? And they didn't depend on the school to do
Absolutely.
anything. They were creative enough. Creative enough. Yes, creative
not the
enough. Yes.
same
Yeah, but I'm
now.
not worried about the
well-
great teacher because I hold them to a different standard. I'm talking about the average teacher.
Well, see,
I don't
It's
really
not
care
the
about the
same.
great teacher.
You
It's
can't
not the
be
same.
average in our
teacher is a
communities
teacher that
and
should
get
be
success.
should
Here's
be
the
doing
bottom
and
line.
performing at that level.
It's not
should
the
be
same when
average.
teachers are expected to do more data than they are expected to do teaching. It's not the same for when we were in school. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
First of
Everything
all-
is data driven. I'm telling
that's
you.
the problem.
You
That's
take
the
more
problem.
time. You take more time filling out bullshit data, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Bullshit data, because if you're filling out data on a student, and then in the end, you're telling your administrator this student can't go on, but the administrator is afraid to have a child held
So-
back
so
because
what
they're
if-
looking at the numbers. So you're not going to sit up here and say that the teacher is doing their
let me
job.
just
Some,
say
most
this.
of them.
Let me
When
just
most
say
people
this.
critique the teacher, they're talking about the
let me
administration.
just say
as well,
this.
though.
Well, let's say
you have-
administration and,
you
and
have
No, I'm gonna always attack the teachers.
You have
Y'all in the
teachers-
club
because you
shaking
always
your
attacking
thing.
me.
You have teachers that will teach regardless, come hell or high water.
Yeah, the great
And
ones.
then you have teachers that are there for a paycheck, just like administrators, and I'll call them
Or
all-
teachers
and
who
I'm-
there for the summer vacations. Let's
I'm
keep
putting
it
them all
100.
in one category, whether you're sitting at the top or at the bottom. It doesn't matter to me. You're all lumped together. And the bottom line is the whole system has to change. Oh,
You
I'm
use that to generalize the justification for racism as
Oh,
well.
I don't. Well, then I'll be racist then.
I
I'll be
miss teachers
racist
like
then.
All of you
I'm
look
like-
alike to me.
I
Oh,
miss
well.
teachers. I miss teachers
Okay.
like Miss Betty that went around with the crayons in the purse
But-
and
Mrs.
brought her own
Billows.
supplies.
But
It was
listen,
amazing.
here's the bottom line. Until parents, community, and everybody start demanding the changes that we know we should have, until parents get on board and start pushing the issue, they start learning and understanding why their child can't read and they can't teach them.
Well, it's very hard
And
for a
it's
person
who
it's
doesn't
a
know how to read
responsibility
to
for
figure out how to
parent.
do that for a kid.
And so
Listen,
I'm gonna say
no,
this.
that-
Well, see, I
Well,
kind of.
no, it is.
That's
I kinda-
yeah.
I
To
kinda-
Rashid's point,
It
the
definitely
children
is.
can't read, and
Hold on,
sometimes the
hold on.
parents can't either.
I'ma-
But that's
I'ma
why
tell
you have
you-
the community
hold on,
schools.
hold on, mama.
Folks that
Hold
can't
on,
read
mama.
and
Hold
their
on,
kids
hold on,
are
hold on,
reading
hold on.
quite well and exceptional.
Who's
and doing
hey, mama,
who's
hold on.
reinforcing
Hey,
that at
hey,
home?
hey,
Because
Rob.
it's not necessarily just a
It
teacher's
does.
job.
I'm
Right.
gonna say
You have
this.
to reinforce
Hold on, guys.
education in
But
the
if
home.
you have
Y'all
people
putting
who
too
are
much on
not-
these teachers.
Hold on,
If you're
hold
not
on, hold on.
educated,
Yeah.
okay, and you don't know, but
Hey.
you know you don't want your child
Hey.
living and going through what you
That-
went
agreed.
through, you're gonna push that kid to make sure that they learn how to read, even if you can't.
So
I'ma tell you-
I've seen that so
I don't
many
know how to read.
times.
One case scenario, and I apologize, Khalid.
Yeah.
But here's the scenario to combat that argument. And we understand that the majority of the kids that are actually going through these issues are coming in single parent homes, mainly of female. Is the the
You
sole
know, I get
breadwinner
tired
in
of
this
that
household.
excuse, too.
No, it's not. I'm not even
It's
giving
fact.
the excuse.
That's
I'm just
fact.
basically putting it
Stating
out there.
fact, yeah.
Statistically, it is what it is because we understand that 70% of incarcerated people are raised in single family homes. The same 50% of runaways is the same thing. So we talk about that on a regular basis. Let's just move that and get that point out of the way. Now, someone who is dedicated to being the sole provider, all right? You know what I mean? Whether you believe in the roles or who plays what roles or whatever. And you're the sole provider, and unfortunately, you don't have enough education, to be able to, like you said, read or write. The parent can't do it, so they should make sure this, that, and the third. They're not going out there and getting the type of jobs that can give them the affordability or the time to actually invest in that child, so they have to leave it up to the teacher. And then they get upset and say, why did my child not learn, to the teacher? And the teacher is saying that, hey, not for nothing, I can't force your kid to do homework. I can't force your kid to study it. I can't force. All I can do is teach repetition here in this classroom.
You know what? I feel sorry for y'all. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to
Go
tell you
ahead,
why.
Mom.
I grew up, and I tell everybody, I'm not a Jersey City girl, okay? I grew up in New York. I can tell you at Public School 243, I know it was very few of my peers, okay, who had a mother and father at home. They were single parent households or they were with their grandparent, okay? And I'm telling you.
This is before mass incarceration? You lived in the hood.
I live straight up. I am, listen, so did you understand where I'm
lived in
coming
the hood.
from? I'm a
Yeah.
Harlem,
Okay.
Bed-Stuy, Hollis, Queens girl, okay?
All right.
You don't get more hood than that,
Yeah.
okay?
Well,
And I'm telling you, I watched single parents, single mothers fuss at their kids because they didn't do
But
right.
it's not the same now.
and
You're talking about a completely different era. You're talking about social
She
media.
did say that she feels bad for our
Yeah.
generation.
Mom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hold on,
and that's why I'm telling you.
Because that's a stark contrast.
And that's why I'm telling
Yeah.
you I feel bad because I don't give a damn what your situation. You can be from the hood, but the hood don't have to be in you.
So-
It's just that simple.
so again, here we go again. We go back to, and not to attack the teachers, and I wanted to end it off.
I
by-
feel attacked.
You should. I'm going to attack you, but
I feel
but
always.
one thing I'm going to say that here we are again, where the fundamental concepts of community arise again, and what we're not doing collectively. Right?
Well-
we no, and I'm only saying that.
No,
because
I totally agree
I
with
can
you.
It has to
understand.
impact.
Yeah,
has
because
to
because
impact.
because I can understand as a teacher you being frustrated because you might believe in this child, but you know at home there's no one there. You know, and I understand a parent have to work, 2 jobs just to pay the bills and can't be there for their child.
This is why it's important to have programs like B.L.E.S.C, right?
Right.
Who come into the schools and they're there for those at-risk students who don't have somebody at home, or there for the at-risk students to have that mentoring, right? Because you guys don't only offer your services, right? You guys offer stuff like the e-coding that Rashid offers, and you have other people coming in to give students another outlook, something else to learn about. I remember the girl who came in and was painting, I don't remember her
Right.
name.
Yeah.
But this is why we need these after-school programs, these programs that will help, kind of give the students, encourage them. And that's the biggest problem that I'm seeing with just this generation. They don't have the desire to learn.
Right.
They don't have
They're set apart from the curriculum. I mean, who wants to sit there?
and that's
over
like
and
you
over
said,
and
the
see-
curriculum is dated. And the reason why the curriculum is dated is because, it's the control.
Well, it's
designed-
biased. No one wants to sit
it's
out
designed
and
for
hear
you
about
not to
how
learn.
another
Exactly.
group is better
Hold on,
than
guys.
them.
And I will say,
It
I
sucks.
will say, collectively, you guys have came up with the perfect ingredient of all the things that's missing. Now, moving forward, we have to find a way to connect with the community and make it understand how important it is, right, for their children, in order for them to move on, to understand that these are the things that's necessary for them to succeed, right? I also feel like a lot of parents have given up on their children way too early. And
A
that's
lot of
something
parents-
that I've discovered through our mentorship
Yes,
program.
and a lot of parents have given up on themselves.
Right. And the second thing I'm going to say is this. With all the funds that's being allocated and however they redo the budget, I feel as though that as a community, we truly need to do wherever we can to come up with a program or a way to have more mental health professionals in our
Absolutely.
schools.
Absolutely.
These kids are hurting.
Yes,
They're
they are.
dealing with things mentally that they themselves don't understand, and only a trained professional can assist them.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, I give y'all kudos because y'all are wearing 1,000 hats.
But we not getting paid for them
No,
thousand hats.
but guess
we
what?
getting paid for half a hat.
But that's why.
Nobody's
Hold on,
getting paid
Mama.
for all
But
the
that's
hats
but
they
that's
wear.
the reason why if you enter that
get paid for all
profession,
my hats.
you have to. Well, hold on.
You work for you.
But that's why when you enter that profession, it has to be something you love
Listen,
because
listen.
it takes that, right? It takes that.
You know what? You're absolutely right because I am a passionate educator, and I don't care if I'm in a classroom of 1 or in a classroom of 30. I'm going to make sure that the child learns something that day. Whether I'm covering a class because a teacher is absent, most substitutes come in there and the kids, you know how it was. It's a substitute, whatever. No. I'm going to make sure that there is continuity in their learning. That whatever the teacher was teaching them, we're going to continue on with that. And not every substitute does that. Not every teacher
Does
is
that.
really, exactly, not every teacher does
Right,
that.
right.
So to your point, yes, we need to be in a collective space where we're pouring into our children because our children are literally our future. I'm going to be old one day. And I'm gonna need a
already old.
doctor,
Don't worry
baby.
about
I'm
it.
not
You're
old,
already
honey. You see
old.
this face, baby? I'm gonna need a doctor. I may need a lawyer, somebody in my family. These children are
Absolutely.
are our future presidents, our future councilmen. What are we doing to ensure that they are gonna be successful citizens when they're adults?
And you know, I'm gonna tell you something. You talk about teachers, and I talked about teachers because, and it's not all the teachers. It's not all the teachers. It's really not.
It's really not. But the
It's
biggest
not.
problem the teachers have
But
is
I'm gonna tell you, honestly, I think the stress level, okay, for teachers is way different than it was years ago.
Yeah,
it's
because
compounding,
they're dealing-
especially
yeah,
after the
they're
pandemic.
dealing
And
with a-
especially
they're dealing with a
after
different job. We're
COVID,
dealing with
it
different
It's-
made it
circumstances.
even worse.
It's made
So-
it worse because the
Absolutely.
children were for 2 years.
Right.
They were learning behind a computer. For 2 years, especially children who are in the 3rd grade, right? So their first and second grade years, or even children who are in the 2nd grade, their kindergarten, when they're supposed to have structured play,
Right.
like learn how to socialize, these kids cannot socialize.
Right, they have
And
no
then
skills.
children who are in the 5th grade and 2nd and 3rd grade, key phonics teaching years,
Right.
2nd and 3rd grade,
Right.
fundamental arithmetic years. They were behind a computer. No, but not every.
Pushing a
I
button.
was one of those parents, right? Because I'm an educator, so I was home with my son, right? I was one of those parents that was at the computer making sure he was on. Or if I felt like it was too much, or telling the teacher, you know, he needs a break, whatever the case may be. I was doing the work with him. But not every child had that.
No.
Right.
So these children, I think the high school kids may have been okay. I'm talking about because they haven't had though, they didn't lose those fundamental years. That's what I mean.
Well, no
So-
one loses the fund, but they are delayed, unfortunately.
But I'm
No
saying
one
it,
loses
the
them.
children who were in high school during the pandemic, they suffered too. Don't get me wrong.
They did.
But they had the phonics instruction. They had the arithmetic. Children who are 5th grade and lower are going to have issues.
They're
They are impacted the great.
greatest.
Statistically, you have to
They
have
are.
a level of level of
absolutely
reading
are.
at 3rd grade in order to move forward, at 6th grade in order to move forward.
Hard stop. And I love it. And you can talk about whatever you want because this is your month. You feel me? But at no point did we at all at least address, some of the great work that goes on in our community as far as women are concerned? Because we got distracted with
Yes,
such a
we went
vital,
over. We did go
a
over.
vital
We did go
topic.
over.
So,
If I could just say one thing to sum it
You've
up,
been
okay?
saying a lot of things.
No, but I just want to kind of
yeah, I heard you, but.
just to sum it up, okay? Because the reason why I'm saying that is because and I'm noticing people coming in, and people are coming in kind of late. So the budget issue, it is what it is, right? We have to, as a community, as educators, we have to come together to make sure that our children are getting what they need despite the budget issue.
So
That's all I'm
basically,
gonna
are
say.
you saying that as a community and parents, we need to put down the Instagram and go into the room and find out what our children are learning? Are you saying that?
Yes.
That we need
Yes.
we need to set aside the distractions and not worrying about what outfit you're wearing to go out clubbing on Friday and Saturday,
Or Tuesday.
right? Or Tuesday.
I'm going out tonight.
Hump night or whatever. You see, anyway. The educators see Miss Betty didn't go out. She was home calculating or something.
She was
and
home
But
at
you
the
know-
bottom
Coming
of
up
a
with
bottle of
But wait a
wine.
Miss
minute.
Betty
okay?
didn't do that back in the
you
day.
know?
I
Miss
miss.
Betty might
I
have
miss.
She was at the bottom of a bottle of wine, okay?
Oh, Miss
Miss
Betty
Betty
didn't do that.
was-
She didn't party.
Yes, she was. You don't know what she was doing. She was
making up
Miss Betty in
manifests.
school, and she was wilding out Betty at home. Okay.
No, that's the problem. These new age teachers be in the club instead of educating, and that's why they don't know how to pronounce words
Whatever.
and stuff like
But
that.
I
But
tell you
anyway, on a serious
seriously.
note,
On a
yeah.
serious
On a
note,
serious
yes.
note, I do want to applaud our teachers. They got a very difficult job. We definitely dealing with a lot of things, especially in the city, and it's very, very challenging.
And the
How-
educational
right.
system makes it more
Right.
difficult
But-
because they care about numbers.
Right. But my
Data.
thing is, I'm gonna say this to those teachers that's in the profession. Look, you may not ever get your roses and flowers, present day. However, I can remember a lot of teachers got the fulfillment in awards, seeing that their struggle students as adults come back and saying, "Hey,
And
I
seeing their
remember
success.
you, Miss Bermudez, and you changed my life."
Mm-hmm.
When will that take? When will that start to take precedence over the dollar?
Mm-hmm.
If that's not something which you can do, then you shouldn't be a teacher for me.
Teachers ain't working for the money.
You
I'm gonna tell you that
shouldn't.
right now.
No,
Them
no,
teachers,
a
they
lot
not
of them
there for the money.
are. A lot of
Yeah,
them
a lot
are.
of
They're
them
not
are.
going to do any
That's
better.
what- that's what
They're
you
not.
don't
So
realize.
for you to say that,
I ain't there
You're
for the money.
not.
I'm not there for
Right.
the. I don't
You
get
know,
paid.
you
I
can't
have a
personalize it.
degree, and I could be
You
doing
can't
a
personalize it.
plethora
That's-
of other
that's-
things
that's-
and making quadruple what I'm
that's your
making right
choice.
now.
But I start off by saying this:
Mm-hmm.
collectively, as a community, I mean, we really need to invest more time with parent and children when it comes to our homes and make some of the changes. I understand that we have to pay the bills, but however, you got to make time and invest at least a day. Take a day out. You got hours and hours on social media, but you haven't corresponded with your child besides a text message or giving them food. No, we need to invest some of that and bring back some of those fundamentals at home. And in large part, this is Women's History Month, and we wanted to definitely show our appreciation to a lot of our community-based women that we feel as though that's impacted our community in a positive way, and we wanted to acknowledge them. So we're gonna have a short little streaming video here put together by the good brother Rashid Chambers. Scott, when you're ready, can you please cue up that video? That was beautiful, Brother Chambers. Thank
That
you.
was very
Give all
nice.
our women who was acknowledged a round of applause, please.
And
Bless
wait, hold up.
Chambers.
I want to make a
Whoa, whoa.
disclaimer for that video.
Can you clap, please?
Yes, I'm gonna
Applaud
clap.
the women. Thank
I
you.
apologize.
But I do
I
want to.
apologize.
No, I'm not. I just want to make a disclaimer that even if your name wasn't seen, there's so many women in the community that impact my life, that impact all of our lives sitting here on a panel, or that have done something significant in the community. And just because your name wasn't there doesn't mean that we don't appreciate you, we don't love you, and we don't cherish you and honor you this month. We just wanted to highlight some of the few women, but to every woman out there that has supported B.L.E.S.C, that watches this show, that supported each and every one of us, that has done things in the community. If you a mother, if you a sister, if you a auntie, whoever you are, we love you and we cherish you today and always.
Yes, and I also want to acknowledge Lakia Gaylord, Sister G. That's my sister. She received a reward today from the St. Elizabeth College, honoring her for the things that she do with LLIE and all the other functions that she participates. So shout out to my sister.
She's
Lakia
amazing.
Gaylord. And
Great, sis.
Mama, I want to close the show, but I also want to hear about maybe we only have a few moments, but a positive woman that impacted your life and that you can give acknowledge to.
There are so many, starting with my mother.
Okay.
My mother was the equivalent of a Nancy Wilson or Jacqueline Onassis.
All right. now.
Dorothy didn't play. So I have to start with my mother, my grandmother, Luvinia, even though she was the shortest thing going, but she was a powerhouse.
Right.
And then when I think about growing up, I can always look at my first grade teacher, Miss Lazar.
Look at
my
that.
first.
Wow,
Look
first
at that.
grade.
First
Yeah.
grade.
That's a long time
And
ago.
that was 90 years ago. But
Yes, it was.
um,
My fifth grade teacher,
right.
Gwendolyn Davis Webb, who was my first black teacher.
wow,
Wow.
shout out.
And she
Look at that.
made sure that even though she taught by the curriculum, but every student, every kid in that class had the Negro Heritage Library because she made sure we all had that set.
Thank you,
She
brother.
made
Thank-
sure
thank you,
we
Mama.
had different books on black history.
And I appreciate you sharing that. Brother Ra?
The most influential woman I've ever come across is my wife. So,
Look at that.
Wow, that
that's
is so
kinda always
beautiful.
What it is.
Round of applause.
And that's always going to be
Right.
like my number one as
gonna
far
get
as
some
I'm
cookie
concerned.
tonight.
But no, because we had a.
Lord have mercy, Jesus.
To you,
I'ma
to
get
you,
some-
my
some
number
cooking.
one.
But Shirley, definitely. But having this conversation, I thought of Miss B.L.E.S.C. She was my ninth grade English teacher, and she pushed me, I was a young, played basketball, didn't really care about education or anything like that. And she told me that if I would allow my intelligence to wither away so that I can bounce a basketball up and down, then I am probably the dumbest student she's ever had.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, I started quoting Shakespeare afterwards. So
Look at that.
I love
Yeah.
her.
Miss,
She was
Miss,
amazing.
Miss Bermudez.
So absolutely my mother. My mother came to this country at the tender age of 20 with no family and raised 3 children on her own. So my
Yeah,
mother
don't
would
say-
be the first person. She brought her entire family here from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And she would be the first person. I aspire to be half the woman that she was. And I love her dearly. And now that she's no longer here, it makes me look back at all of the obstacles that she went through just to, make me who I am today. Right. And as an educator, I have 3 teachers that stood out for me. My 8th grade, senior, whatever year she was, Miss Dematulis at Lincoln High School. I hated her guts, right? But then I realized that she was really just trying to push me. A professor in college, 2 professors, Dr. Wadenful and Dr. Genta, they both pushed me to be a good writer. And I thought I was a good writer until Professor Wadenful said, you're a good creative writer, but this isn't a creative writing class. This is a technical writing class. Right. So she pushed me to make sure I have my semicolons and commas. So shouts out to Dr. Wadenful. And she also pushed me when I dropped out a few times, right? Mm-hmm. You better graduate. Every time I saw her on campus, wait a minute, you haven't graduated yet? Come into my office. And she made sure I graduated. And Dr. Genta, who helped me with my memoir writing skills. So these are women who definitely impacted my life. And there's a lot of other women out there, but those are the most significant that I can mention.
I love that, by the way.
And very thankful for all of you guys for definitely sharing those experiences and those women that impacted your lives positively. And the crazy thing is, again, when it came to the educators that you guys mentioned, think about how they were life changing.
Yeah.
Again, I mean,
Even with negative comments.
I don't see that. I don't see that anymore. I don't see that connection from our teachers, and I could be wrong.
I mean,
I don't know
do.
every teacher.
I do, but my kid goes to charter school.
Right. Good point. On that note, and I just want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to my moms. Short in stature, but one of the sweetest women and strongest women that I know. Shout out to you, Miss Brooks. You definitely are phenomenal in my eyes, and I appreciate everything you did to create this perfect chocolate thunder that you have.
Lord have mercy.
But anyway, again, thank you guys for joining the show. And I would say, and I want to leave with this, women, I just want to apologize to you guys collectively, because I can say within the last 2 decades, I feel like men have been falling short with being able to protect you guys the way we should. And I want to say that I applaud brothers like Ra, who have the relationship with his wife that he does. And I just want that model, is able to touch so many. So I can say that the energy of B.L.E.S.C is going to also to keep encouraging our young men to be better fathers and husbands. And again, I just want to say to y'all, we appreciate you guys as women, as moms, as aunts, as older sisters, and all the powerful women out there that's had guided us young men, because some of my greater mentors are women. Shout out to Karen Muhammad, who I love dearly, who is definitely a mentor to me, and all the sisters that I'm surrounded by that push me forward to do greater things. And shout out to you, Mama Blue and Erica. I appreciate you guys dearly, and I just want to applaud you guys. Thank you for being in my corner and dealing with my nonsense from time to time.
Yes, that part.
Yeah. On that note,
I'm sorry.
You've been sorry all night, Erica.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Because you be wanting to shut me up, but I'm gonna say what I want to say. There are 3 other women that I just want to say. No.
You better put a comment on the page. In the show.
Listen.
Love, peace, and hair grease.
After my mom passed, these 3 women, Miss Braswell, Miss Sullivan. Okay.
Miss Sullivan?
Yes, Miss Sullivan, and Mama Karen. These are women who took on me.
What about Miss Abrascato?
Oh, Miss Abrascato is not Miss
not
Abrascato.
This is not a Lincoln High School
That's
reunion.
it. That's how I'm saying that, because without them, I wouldn't be here. So I had to shout them out.
Shout out to those Lincoln Lions. You got 3 more?
No,
anyway, shout
that's
out to
it.
those
I
Lincoln
promise.
Lions and all those who stem from those Lincoln Lions. And shout out to Miss Braswell as well. And I just want to say again, good night, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, we love you.
End the show.
Good night.
Listen, tomorrow, Smith.